Okay, we're starting. We're starting from the Mishnah. If Meir gets in here. So we saw this earlier that a guy we had a case of a merchatz that there was an avodah Zorah, and in front of the avodah Zorah in the chutzir there was a bathhouse or a garden. So that bathhouse and garden did not have shaykhis. I mean, it doesn't have any kedusha because a avodah Zorah can't be magd something. So therefore, avodas kechavim shahoy lagina oy merchatz nenin mehem shaloi b'toiva. We're going to see what that means. That you can't pay off the priest. Vein nenin mehem b'toiva, but you can't have anah because then they're going to go and thank their made them. They're going to thank their guy, their pagan, their god. B'shalacherim and Shalom v'shalacherim. Let's say it belonged to two individuals, a person and the avodah zarah. So then mehem, you're able to have a no bein l'tayva bein shalai b'tayva. You don't have to worry. You can even play with the priest. Nava halacha avodas kechavim shel oived kechavim asura miyad. It's important to get this down. If a guy makes an avodah zarah, even before serving it, automatically it's asur. V'shel Yisrael in asura achati aved. However, Yisrael, if he makes the avodah zarah for a guy, right, then what? Then it's only asur until you go ahead and serve it. So again, avodah a guy for a guy miyad. Avodah zarah for what? For a Yisrael, you have to serve it. It's important to notice because we're going to see a shita that's the opposite. Rabbi Shmuel is going to say a guy is miyad and a Jew serve it. So it's going to be the exact opposite. It's important to know that order. Rabbi, when it says b'toiva, what does it mean? It means b'toiva is koimrim. It means the toiva of the koimrim is a priest. Shalai b'toiva is koimrim. Lafuke is toivis avdeha the shari. It's permitted. The person who serve it, you can go ahead and give a few shekel to. That's not a problem. It's the priest that's a problem. That's one lashon of Abaye. Ikedi maslila. There are those who apply Abaye's din not to the ratio of the Mishnah, but the Sefer, the latter case of the Mishnah. If it belonged to both, Nen and Mehem, you can have anah, b'toiva, shlai b'toiva. So in other words, you could have anah, right? You could have anah, even for the pashas even paying the koimrim. If there's a shutfis. Rabaya, when it says b'toiva, I mean b'toivas acherim. It doesn't mean priest. It means others. Ushlei b'toiva is koimrim. And Shlei b'toivas, the Mashen Kain Toivas Koimrim, you would not. So according to the second Lashon, according to both the Shainis, you would not be able to give according to the first Lashon, you would be able to give the Koimrim. According to the second Lashon, you won't. Madamasni Aseifa Kol Shken Aresha. Madamasni Aseifa, that you can't go ahead and give the guy. And there's a shut the priest, even though there's a shutfis, kol shkena ratio where there is no shutfis, you won't be able to give the priest, right? Madach where there's a shutfis in there, you can't give the priest. Kol shkena, when the priest is the only game in town, you can't go ahead and give it. Uman demasli ratio, but the one who learns on the ratio, avu b'seifa kivin the ikka acherim b'hadas. Since there's a person that's a shuttif with what? There's a person that's a shuttif there. Afilu b'toivus kaimim nami shapidami. Even b'toivus kaimim, right? You would be able to go ahead and give it, according to the ratio, you will be able to give the koimrim as long as there's a shutfis, right? And a Jew until he serves it. That's what our Mishnah says. So a guy makes an avodah zarah according to our Mishnah, it's asa miyad. If a Jew makes an avodah zarah, it's only asa until you serve it. That's the namasnisan money. Who's the Tana of our Mishnah? It's Rabbi Akivahi. For those who joined, we're at the two dots on Nun Aleph on the base, the last set of two dots, about 10 lines up. Money, who's the Tana of Mishnah says Avodah Zarah miyad, and Yisrael is until you serve. It's Rabbi Akiva, the Tanya. So we're going to have along this brisa, guys, we're going to have a brisa, and the Amid Aleph is going to be dashing this brisa, okay? So it says, the pasuk says, Abe Tavdun, es kol hamakomos asher avdu sham hagoyim. So avei es kol hamakomos asher avdu sham hagoyim. Now bikelim shenishtamshu behem labayis kechavim hakosim medaber. Even though it says lashon mekomis, the Gemara is going to ask, go ahead and insert instead of mekomis, insert the word kelim. So I mean, avatad es kol hakelim asher avdu sham hagoyim, and we're speaking about kelim. Hakosim Adaber. You have to destroy them. Yachal Asa'um V'lay Gomrum. If you made them but didn't complete them. Gomrum, you completed them, V'lay Hevium, but you didn't bring it to the Avodah Zarah yet. Hevium, you brought it to the Avodah Zarah, V'lay Nishtamshu Behem, but you didn't use it yet. Yachal Yasurim, At Kedei Kach, in other words, it's mamish right there, but you didn't use it. Talmud Leima, Asher Avdu Sham Hagayim, Shein Oisrim, it's only Asa, the Kale for the Avodah Zarah, At Sheyavdu, until you use it. So obviously, fellas, this is not like our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says if a guy makes it, it's asa miyad. Here we're saying even if you bring it to the Avodah Zarah, as long as you didn't use it, it's going to be what? It's going to be mutta. This is Rabbi Shmuel and not Rabbi Akiva. Okay. Until you use it, Rabbi Shmuel. So obviously he's not reflecting the opinion of the Mishnah, because our Mishnah says what? That a guy is asamiyad and a Jew until you serve it. Here he's saying a guy is until you serve it and a Jew is asamiyad. The exact opposite of our Mishnah. He's saying the exact opposite of our Mishnah. Okay. Rabbi Akiva Oimer, 5 lines up. Rabbi Akiva Oimer, 4 lines up. Hadvarim, Chiluf Hadvarim, switch it around. Avodas kechavim shall ovid kechavim asura miyad, and we'll have to see how he darshans the pasuk. V'shal Yisrael ad sheta'aved, and Yisrael until he serves it. Amamar, going. Okay, so guys, so let's go. Okay, now let's chazariba for those who just joined and for the people who've been listening. Said our Mishnah that a guy makes an avodah zarah, it's asa immediately. If a Jew makes an avodah zarah, it's only asa when you serve it. Says we have machloikas in the Gemara between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says if a guy makes it until he uses it, and a Jew makes it, it's asa miyad, which is the opposite. Okay, and he dashes it from the pasuk abein tabdin es kol ha'mekayimos, and that you have to go ahead and destroy es kol ha'mekayimos she'avdu shem hagoyim, and we dash in the word mekayimos to mean kalim. The Gemara is going to ask right away. So now Amamar, we're going back over the brisa. First, we're going to explain Shitas Rabbi Yishmael, his pasuk, and then Shitas Rabbi Akiva, and how he goes ahead and is mechalik on the pasuk. Okay, Amamar, going back over the brisa. The pasuk is speaking about kalim that goyim make. They have to destroy them. It says mekayimos kasiv. It doesn't say kalim. It says mekomos. It doesn't say kalim. It says Abein Tabdun is called Hamikomos. So how can you go ahead? Mikomos means places. It doesn't mean Kalim. So now, guys, what's wrong with these words? You have to destroy all the places of Avodah Zarah. We had a pasuk that says Al Hahorim v'lo Yahorim, Al Agavois v'lo Gavois. Eitzran. Okay, Eitzran was a different simon. But again, we know that it's the ground itself. There's no. So Mamela says the Gemara the following. And for the Gemara, I'll tell you. I can't use the word abe tabim to mean mekomos, d'lei mitzri, because the mekomos are not asa. Dichsiv, because it says Eloheim Eloharim, v'lo Yaharim Eloheim. It says Eloheim on the mountains, but the mountains not themselves. So if I don't need abe tabim es kol mekomos to mean places, because the places in fact are not, you're not supposed to destroy, because it's not avodah zarah. Teneu inyan lekalim. Use it what for kalim, right? Mikan amru avodas kechavim shaloi bekechavim eina surah adat shetavad. Okay, so because the pasuk says, "Abin tabin is called mekaymes asher avdu sham hagoyim." Guys, so let's again the pasuk destroy all the kalim asher avdu sham hagoyim, that the goyim what avdu, that they went ahead and they used. So Mikan says Rabbi Yishmael, if a goy makes a kli in order it to be us and Avodah Zarah, avdu it has to be yours. That's the limud. Okay. Now B'Shei Yisrael is miyad. Now it doesn't say what the din is Yisrael. We're inferring the din. Now why do you infer that it could be us and miyad? Maybe it's mutter completely. In other words, you're going to the guts of it. If there's no pasuk, why is the inference that the Jew is worse? Fred the Gemara. Right? You went ahead, and how can you figure this out that when it says that the Yisrael is asa miyad, how can you say it's speaking about avodah zarah when you were speaking about kalim? Kalim are mishamshem avodah zarah, fellas. You're using this pasuk to learn a din in avodah zarah itself. Fred the Gemara, how can you tell me this din? It's speaking about Avodah Zarah when we just said it's speaking about Kalim. That's what's the Gemara's question. V'av Kalim ukimna la or makra. The pasuk says Asher atayoshim oisa es Eloheihem. So the pasuk in its entirety, Abe tabdun es kol makoymes asher avdu shemagoyim asher atem yoshim oisam es Eloheihem alaharim harim al gavois b'tachas kos eitz ranan. So when it says it says if it said the makoymes meaning kalim, and then it says the next words asher atayoshim oisam es Eloheihem. Eloheihem is what? Is their gods. So makish Eloheihem will make a hekesh between their gods at the latter part of the pasuk, and lekalim to what the kalim at the first part of the pasuk, and there it says avdu, ma kalim at sheyavdu, af Eloheihem nami at sheyavdu. So I was incorrect in prefacing the kasha. I prefaced the kasha earlier that I shouldn't have. Okay, just to go ahead and give us the roundup. Rabbi Shmuel says the following: that if a guy makes an avodah zarah, it's asa only when it's served. Abe tabdun es kol mekoymos, es kol mekoymos means kalim, because mekoymos are not asa, because halaharim, the harim itself, and asher avdu sham. Good. Then mikan, what do we learn out? We learn out a din to avodah zarah. Fred, how can you learn a din to avodah zarah? You're speaking about kalim. You're not speaking about avodah zarah. You're speaking about mishamash and avodah zarah. The end of the pasuk says Eloheihem, right? It says them. We makish the end of the pasuk at the beginning. So just like the beginning of the pasuk until you serve the avodah zarah, so too the avodah zarah itself is also only when you serve it. That's the limit of Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Akiva loy makish, right? Rabbi Akiva does not make the hekesh, guys. Rabbi Akiva does not make the hekesh, obviously, because he holds what? The Yisrael is asa miyad, and he holds the Yisrael until you serve it, and the Goy is asa miyad. So guys, Rabbi Akiva doesn't have a problem with the first part of the pasuk. The kalim made for the avodah zarah, it could be till you serve it, but the avodah zarah itself, what is asa miyad, according to Rabbi Akiva. You know why? He doesn't make the hekesh from Eloheihem to what? To kalim. Kalim until you use it. Rabbi Yishmael makes the hekesh. Rabbi Akiva doesn't make the hekesh. He says the word es Eloheihem, the word es, is a barrier. So therefore, you don't have the hekesh. Once you don't have the hekesh, you don't have a source of avodah zarah. So you know what? Until you serve it, that's kalim. Avodah zarah, in fact, is asa. If a guy makes it miyad immediately, that's the limit of the Gemara. Let's see it inside. Rabbi Akiva loy darish and loy makish. He doesn't make the hekesh between kalim and avodah zarah. Es hefsek. Pasuk says, Es Eloheihem Eloharim. The S is mafsik, the latter part of the pasuk to the beginning of the pasuk. Rabbi Yishmael, Ashkan avodas kechavim shalevet kechavim, the ein ra'at to avad, the Yisrael dasurim miyad minalei. Okay, where does he know? There was two dinim in the Mishnah, fellas. The din of a guy, the din of a Jew. You just told me the din of a guy. That what? That the guy goes ahead and makes it a avodah zarah, asher avdu until he serves it. How does he know Yisrael miyad? How does he know where I preface it too early? Like svarahu, it's a svara. Midoivdi kechav matchet avad. The Yisrael asura miyad. For the Gemara, aim of the Yisrael klal kaloi. In other words, why is your assumption that the Yisrael is more chama than a guy, and therefore it's asa miyad? Maybe it's mutter completely. It says Gemara, hashta geniza boy. Now you have to go ahead and hide it. It needs geniza. When it's shalom, you have to go ahead and right? Boy, it's super. It has to be us. If you have to go ahead and bury it, it's not mutter. Why is it more severe? No, it's Gemara is asking a seminal question. You're assuming that the avodah zarah that a Jew makes is worse than the avodah zarah of a guy. That's the assumption. Like Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael says the guy till he serves it, and a Jew miyad. For the Gemara, how do you know? Because it's a svara. It has to be worse. For the Gemara, maybe it's mutter. It can't be mutter. You got to bury it. Says the Gemara, but how do you know it's worse? Maybe it's the same until you serve it. How do you know miyad? You assumed it's worse. Why do you make that assumption? For the Gemara, maybe it has the same level as what? As the Oivei Kichavim. On that, the Gemara answers, Amakra, Veschataschem asher asisem es ha'egel. What does that mean? Misha'a asiya kom le b'chet. So, what do you see? It's stressing that when they made the egel, already v'chataschem, you're calling when they made the egel, you're calling it a chet. What do you learn then? It's asa miyad. That's the chet. You made it. Once you made it, it's asa. So that's how I know. In other words, it's not a svara, it's a pasuk. Again, the eschataschem asher asisem esa egel. The chataschem that what? Asisem esa egel. You made the egel. So you see that what the chet is when you made the egel. Fred Gemara, a mahani mili lemekim gavra b'chet. Maybe it's not going on the the getchka alone. Maybe it's going just on the man, and it's suri le mitzvah. No, it's the chataschem. Who's the chet? You're over when you make it. You're over, but this thing itself, maybe what is not asa. Again, we need a lean with Rabbi Shmuel that the zach itself, that the getchka itself is asa. The pussy you're bringing is chataschem, your chet, meaning it's the chet of the yid did the chet, but maybe that the object itself is not asa. So Amakra, another pasuk. Oro ish asher yaseh pesel u'maseicha. Cursed is the person who makes what a getchka. Mishas, and it says Mishas asiya kom le ba'orer. As soon as he makes it, he's cursed. Now, Emahani mili lemekim gavra ora. Maybe it's going in the person, just the person should be cursed, but not that the shtick is an avodah zarah. And then the Gemara says Tayavas Hashem ksiv. It says Pasili alehayim tisfun be'esh le'sachma kesev ezov alehim v'lekachlucha pentivokish ba ki Tayavas Hashem elekechahu. When it says Tayavas Hashem, that must be that what it's you can't have any enough from it. So therefore it's asa. Okay, so that is Rabbi Shmuel's source. For Rabbi Akiva, when he says Toyeva, because he holds that what he holds, if a Jew makes it, it's what it's until you serve it. Dava maybe le Toyeva, something that will bring you what to a Toyeva. So far we have Rabbi Shmuel. So in summary, Rabbi Shmuel says, and the guy makes avodah zarah, Abei Tabdun. The Abei Tabdun, Asha Avdu, right? And where does he know miyad? The Asiyah of the Egel, Toyevas Hashem. So therefore, that's the source of Rabbi Shmuel. Good? Rabbi Akiva, where do you know miyad from? And where does he know Asha Avdu? We're going to see right now the Shitas Rabbi Akiva. So we have Shitas Rabbi Shmuel, now we see the Shitas Rabbi Akiva. Now Shitas Rabbi Akiva, I remind, is the Tana of our Mishnah, that where Goy makes it, it's Asa miyad, and when a Jew makes it, until you serve it. Rabbi Akiva, where does he know that his din from? Ama'ula, Amakra, Pesile Elohayim, Tisufun Be'esh, Misha Paslu Nasa Eloha. Misha Paslu, from the time that you make it, when you engrave the image, when you carved out the image, at that point in time, it's what? It's Asa. At that point in time, it's Asa. And the Idach, what does Rabbi Shmuel do with this pasuk? Because Rabbi Shmuel says until you serve it. He needs he needs it for what Rabbi Yosef's din. The Tani Rabbi Yosef, how do a guy can go ahead and passel zelkos, meaning how can he can do bittul, guys? How do you know he can do bittul, right? Shenemar p'silei Elohayim tisrufun be'esh. In other words, they can go ahead and throw it in fire, so they can be mavatal it. The idach, where does Rabbi Akiva know bittul from? Since he uses it to teach me that it's asa miyad. Nafkalei the Shmuel, he learns bittul from Shmuel. The Shmuel Rami, ksiv leisachmoy kesev ezav aleihem. Right? You shouldn't go ahead and desire kesev ezav on the getchkis. Ukasiv v'lakachtalach, and it says you should take it. So in place it says that what, right? You should when it's mashma, don't desire it, and then it says no, only when you take it. Okay, sad. Anything that's been carved into a geshka don't want. So if you go ahead and you nullified it, if you go ahead and mevatl it, then you could. So again, says Rabbi Kiva, if you made it into a getchka, right, then don't desire it. But if you pasle it, then then you can take it. So that's where he learns it from. He learns the din of bittul from that din, because he can't learn it from psilei hayim, because he used that to teach me the din of asamiyat. Now, the second point of Rabbi Akiva was if a Jew makes an avodah zara, it's asa only when he serves it. Where do you know that from? So Rabbi Akiva, Ashken avodas kechavim shalavit kechavim that asur miyad, Yisrael ad shetiyavim min Allah. And how do you know Yisrael makes the avodah zara? It's asa only when you serve it. On Rabbi Huda, on Akra, pasuk says v'sham basaser. So what does the whole pasuk say? Where's this pasuk? Let me just find it. Oro ish asher yaseh pesel masecha tayavas Hashem ma'aseh yidei choresh some basaser. Some means to place, basaser hiddenly. So now, Rabbi Akiva, Ashkenav Chav Mishalev Chav. How does he know if a Jew makes it until you serve it? Rabbi Yehuda Amakra Vishom Basaser Achayasla Dvorim Basaser. So he's not saying you should go ahead and hide it. He's saying that it's not avodah zara until you do something basaser. Ostensibly, he's only going to go ahead, right? He's only going to go ahead and do it privately, avodah zara. Okay, b'sam basaser. Okay, v'idach. What is Rabbi Shmuel who says that what that it's a guy is a Jew is asa miyad? What does he do with the son b'seisa of Rabbi Akiva? Again, this is the tennis match. If he learns that from here and he says a different shita, what does he do with his shita? It's back and forth. So what does Rabbi Shmuel do with the son b'saser? So mi boy lelich Rabbi Yitzchak. He needs Rabbi Yitzchak. Dam Rabbi Yitzchak. Minayin labayis kachavim shal Yisrael shatuna geniza. How do you know that if you're not, since you can't be mevatel, you need geniza? Shenemar b'sam basasa. You go ahead and put it away basasa. Where does Rabbi Kiva know that if it's not bottled, you have to hide it? I use the b'sam basasa to teach me that it's asa only when you serve it. Nafklei midrav chista amarav. He learns that it needs geniza from Rav Chisda Amarav. Dam Rav Chisda Amarav, minayin labayis kachavim shal Yisrael shatuna geniza, shenemar le'sita lecha ashera kol eitz eitzel mizbeach. Don't go ahead and plant an ashera near the mizbeach. Ma mizbeach ton geniza, as we're going to see, when it gets ruined, we're going to see that it needs geniza. So we have a hekesh between the avodah zara similar to ashera and mizbeach that needs geniza, and therefore he has the son basasa available to teach me until you do davar basasa. V'idach Rabbi Shmuel, how does he know that how does he know this thing that you need geniza? How we violate Reish Lakish. Now, what does he do with this pasuk? He uses the son basasa to teach me. Excuse me, that you need geniza. What does he do with this pasuk? How does he know that what does he use this pasuk for? He uses it with Rabbi Reish Lakish. Some Reish Lakish. Kol ha'maimid dayan she'ena hagun. Anyone who gets a dayan that is not qualified for the job. Kilun etei asher b'yisrael. It's like a prince of asherish. Nemar shoytim v'shoytim tid l'cha b'chol sharecha. V'samachlei right next to the pasuk le'situl chasher kol eitz. It says right next to it. So you have this the limud. Excuse me. So there's a Gemara in Sanhedrin to explain this. What's the connection between an Ashera and a Dayan? So listen to this Gemara. Sanhedrin Zayin Omen Aleph. Amr of Shmuel bar Nachmani. Amr of Yonason. Kol Dayan shedon din emes lamitoy. Any judge that does emes lamitoy. Masher Shechina of Yisrael. He causes the Shechina to be shayr of Yisrael. Shnemar Elokim Nisa ba'ad of Kel. B'kerev Elokecha. Tishbait. The Kol Dayan she'ena don din emes lamitoy. Goyim l'Shechina shetistalek Yisrael. So you know, dodge them as you call the shechita, the shechina to leave. So memela, that's like planting an ashera. The shechina, the ashera is like a avodah zara. It's not it's a place that you can't have a shechina there. There's a avodah zara. So that's the sushtel. Ravashi umkom with talmid chachamim, right? Kilo natoi esel mizbeach. And let's say you appointed this judge, and you could have appointed a lot better one because there's a talmid chacham there. Then it's not only you planted that shera, but you planted a shera next to the mizbeach. The mizbeach is mechaper. The talmid mechamim, it's okay. So that's the machlokes. So in summary, if I summarize the shittas, guys, these are the psukim. Rabbi Yishmael says an akum that an akum is asamiyad from Abe Tabdun. Excuse me. He says an akum till you serve it. Rabbi Yishmael says an akum till you serve it is from Abe Tabdun, And Yisrael, he learns out from the pasuk of Toyavas Hashem, the sea of the Egel and Toyavas Hashem. Rabbi Akiva says it's asa miyad. It says psile Elohayim. Mishas psula. B'sham you carve it. It's asa. And where does he in Yisrael? That's because it says basam basaser. And since you place a basaser, it's going on a person who's oived it. If you're oived basaser, so obviously it's not asa until you're doing basaser. A person's not going to do avodah zarah barabim because it's going to mean the end of his life. So therefore, those would be the limudim. And then you have the back and forth what each one does with the other one's limudim. Boy Rav Nuna. Risech kli la'avodas kechav mahu. So you have it's mashma. You have a kli with a hole in it. It's a regular kli, and now you want to make the kli whole. So it seems they would bang it and it would cause like the metal to flatten over the hole. And he's doing this act as l'shem avodah zarah. So he wants this act, and now this kli should be for avodah zarah. So risech kli la'avodas kechavim. He's banging this for the purpose of what? To making the kli into a avodah zarah. Now avodas kechavim deman. Who is doing what and for who? Ilem avodas kechavim. It's a guy for a guy. Bein l'Rebbe Yishmael, bein l'Rebbe Akiva. Misham she'avodas kechavim heim. This is only a kli. Right, guys? We said that no one learned that miyad was only going on the avodah zarah itself, but the mishamash of the avodah zarah, everyone said asher avdu. So memela, what's your kasha? It's a moot point. You took a kli, you wanted to be the shem avodah zarah, you banged it out. It doesn't have a shem avodah zarah because it's not us until you serve it. So even the machlokes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva over here, they would both be in agreement that what it would be mutter, so it wouldn't be asa because he didn't serve it yet. So it can't be a goy to a goy. It can't be a goy to a goy. The other must be what? Avodas kechavim the Yisrael. Now it must be avodas kechavim the Yisrael. Now we have machlokes. Rabbi Yishmael, like Rabbi Yishmael, it's asa miyad. Like Rabbi Akiva, it's asa till you serve it. So therefore the shaila is going to be removed according to Rabbi Akiva. Since Rabbi Akiva, it's till you serve it. It's not nageya Rabbi Akiva. It's only nageya Rabbi Yishmael. Good. Rabbi Yishmael says a yid is asa miyad. So light him, if you go ahead and take this kli and put it like that, what would the din be? Yisrael, again, for Yisrael. The Yisrael making it, I'll leave it to man. Ilam, Kiva, that's the moot point. Hashti Gufale Mitzvah, Achat Aved, the Avodah Zarah itself, for Shom Basasa, is only us when you do something clandestinely, right? Meshamesha mi boy. Rabbi Akiva said, if Yisrael makes the Avodah Zarah, it's only us until you serve it. So obviously the kli can't be worse than what? Than the avodah zarah itself. The Allah must be Alibid Rabbi Yishmael, the Masur Miyad, who's of the opinion that it's us immediately. Because that was his opinion. What's the din? What's the din? Now what's the kasha, guys? Mishamshim mimishamshim gamrinon. Do you learn out the mishamshim, right, of a yid from the mishamshim of a guy? Do you learn out the kli of a yid from the kli of a guy? Just like the kli of a goy is until you serve it, right? So too the kli of the kli of the yid till you serve it. In other words, I have two ways to go. Guys, look at me. I have the kli of the yid, the kli of the goy. The easy way, the lim would be just like the kli of a goy until you serve it. So too the kli of the yid till you serve it. Okay, what about if I stay within the category of yid? What's the din of the kli of a yid, right? The kli of a yid, it's asa, right? It's asa immediately. Well, according to Rabbi Yishmael, it's asa immediately. So too, the kli would be similar to the avodah zarah, would be asa immediately. So do you go kli, or you go yid? Guys, look at me, right? Yeah. If you go kli, then it's going to be asa until you serve it. Because the mishamshim of a goy is till you serve it, the mishamshim of a yid till you serve it, kli. But if you go kli yid, avodah zarah yid like Rabbi Yishmael, avodah zarah yid is asa miyad, the kli will also be asa miyad. That's the shayla. Those are two tzaddim. Okay. Now I'll ask you a better question. If the whole shayla is how do you view this kli, why did you have to get into there was an existing kli and he's fixing it? Why don't you just get a regular kli and ask the shayla? Forget the fixing. Kli over here. You make the kli l'shem avodah zarah. How do I view it? Do I view it like a kli of a goy, or do I view it like the avodah zarah itself? Why do you have to zetz ayin in a case where it seems you're fixing something? So Rabbi Nuna's shayla seems to be a bit There's information here that would lead us to believe there's a different Shaila. Guys, there's information here because again, if the whole Shaila is in the Kli, why did you have to learn a Kli that was broken? Learn just a regular Kli and you'd have the same Shaila. Do you view it as a Shamashim or do you view it as what is the Avodah Zarah itself? As I read the Gemara. Right. Says the Gemara. Anyway, maybe you learn from the Yid itself. Forget about the Mishamashim. Mahi Asura Miyad, just like according to Rabbi Shmuel, the idol of a Yid is Asa Miyad, Af Mishamsheh Asura Miyad. Fred the Gemara, my ear to come boile risach kli. Why are you learning the Shaila of risach kli? Ti boile Asa. Go ahead and ask the Shaila where Asa, where you made it yourself, right? Guys, it's Kabbal Kasha. So therefore, you know what? That's not the Shaila. Rav Hamnuna Mishum Tuma Yishana Kami Boile. He had a different Shaila. What was the Shaila, guys? Let's say you have a Kli metal Kli that's Tummy. Now it's a hole in it. It loses shame Kli. It's Tahar. You fix it again. The old Tuma comes back. There were geyser on the Kli of we saw. There were geyser on the Kalim, Mason, right? According to one opinion, when other people share machlokes with sheretz or nida, there were guys that told the rabbanon on kalim. If it's a kli that was for avodah zarah and you put a hole in it and then you went ahead and restored it, what's the din? That's the shaila. That's the shaila. So now, Rav Nuna mishum tumi yishana kami boile. Did nan kli matachos? You have a kli of metal. Pishuteihem, whether it's a flat kli umekableihem, right? And or as a kli as a base kibble that can receive something, tameim that are tamei, nishtabru if they break, taharu they become tahar. Chazav asan kalim if you fix them up, yachzru l'tamir comes back. V'hachi comes in. Here was the shaila. Ki hajra tuma hani mili l'tuma daraisa. That's only tuma daraisa. Aval tuma darabanan such as what as that of avodah zarah. Not. Aydil malay shna. Maybe there's no difference. That's the Gemara's. Well, maybe there's no difference. Fred the Gemara boile shar tumis derabanan. The Shaila, why did he go ahead and ask it only regarding avodah zarah? Maybe he could have asked it what regarding regular tum. Again, if your whole Shaila is tumid derabanan, why do you have to have a timsa of avodah zarah? It could be any teicha timsa. You have a kli that's a tumid derabanan on it. It gets a hole in it. What's the din? Why do you have to jump to avodah zarah? Says the Gemara, it's a kasha. It's a kasha within a kasha. Tumid rabbanan mi hadra loy hadra. Tumid rabbanan does it come back or not? Good. That's one shaila. And intin saloima loy hadra. If you can tell me it doesn't come back, tumid abayis kechavim mishum chumid abayis kechavim mishav rabbanan ketumid araisa loy. So now that was his shaila. What was his shaila? Guys, watch. You have a kli, got a hole in it. You're going ahead. You fix the kli. As soon it was tamei. It was tummy, tummy deraisa, right? And now you went ahead and you took it off. Good, you fixed it. The tummy deraisa comes back. What about tummy derabanan? Tummy derabanan. Does tummy derabanan come back? That's the shaila. Imtim saloima. If you can tell me that tummy derabanan does not come back, what about avodah zarah? Avodah zarah is more chomer, and maybe because the chomer avodah zarah, that tummy derabanan would come back, and that the Gemara answers, teiku geschmack. Boy. Minei Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yanai. Following question. Takruvus avodas kechavim shel oichlim mahu. Now, what do we know about takruvus avodas zarah, guys? I'll remind you, you can't be mavatal it. It's more chomer than avodas zarah itself. You can't be mavatal takruvus avodas zarah. It's the most chomer thing. You can't be mavatal it. So now you have takruvus avodas kechavim shel oichlim mahu. So you have food that was given to the getchka. It's also v'hana, and the Gemara asks the funny shaila. Mimi hanalahu bitol l'taruna mitoma. Now, you really knows the answer already. What you'd be saying to me, it's not shaykh bitol. What are you talking about? Okay, so let's just play along. Okay, I've given you the end of the book. Okay, but right now, let's say you have an avodah zarah. It's tamei. It's takroivos, and you go ahead and you mavatal it. Does it lose its tum or not? Says the Gemara, "V'tiboy kalim." Why are you going ahead and learning the question by what? By food. Why don't you have the same thing? But kli that was mishamash avodah zarah as takroivis. Says my kelim like kami boile because they're not takroivis. Kivin the islu tire b'mikvah, since it's possible to matar in a mikvah, tumanami batla. So in other words, once you mevatel the tuma, it's going to be what tahar. Simply what putting in a mikvah. Ki kami boila aichalin. We're asking it by food because food does not have what tyra in a mikvah. Fred the Gemara v'tiboile avodas kechavim gufa. Right. What about the getchka itself? Right. Let's say the getchka is made of food. In other words, why do you have little takroivis? What about the getchka made of food? You have a guy. Listen, this is not such a shaila, guys. Many people serve food. This is not such a strange thing. You know, of all the things we've learned in this Masechta, this is not the strangest thing. Many people serve food. So therefore, you have an Avodah Zorah. So why do you learn the case of takroivis? You ask by Avodah Zorah itself. The Gemara says, Avodah Kechavim Gufa Lami Boile. Avodah Kechavim Gufa what was not a shaila. Kivan the Isura bottle. Since the Isra of Avodah Zorah you could take off, Tumanami Batla. Guys, when you Mavatla Avodah Zorah, it becomes Mutter, say yes. Yes. So Mele, of course, the Tumah also comes out. There was no Shaila. Why was Takroivis a Shaila? Ki kami boile, Takroivis Avodah Kechavim Shalai Chalin, Mai. Kivin the Surei Le Bottle, Kid Rav Gidel. Since you can't take it off. The Is is not bottle like Rav Gidel. Tumanami Le Batla. Idilma Isur the Raisa Le Bottle. That's the shaila. You know, it's very. I gave you the answer already. Well, the takrubas of Avodah Zorah is more common than Avodah Zorah itself. Avodah Zorah, if you vatal it and you take off the issa, there's no shaila. Not only does the issa come off, obviously what the tumah comes off as well. The shaila is by takroivis. Takroivis, you can't take off the issa. If you vatal it, it doesn't come off. But maybe tumah de rabbanon would come off. Nafkamina if it touches something else, right? And the Gemara on that remains taken. Boy mina Rabbi Yosef ben Shol made Rebbe. So Rabbi Yosef ben Shol, not a common name. He had a shayla from Rebbe. Kalim sheshimshu behen beis chonyav. Now the beis chonyav was. Let's look at Rashi. He gives you a little information. Beis chonyav says Rashi mefarish b'shmaita basraisa de menachas. We see what beis chonyav was in the last sugya in Masechta Menachas. Chonyav b'noi shel Shimon HaTzadik. Chonyav was the son of Shimon HaTzadik. Shebarach leMitzrayim. He ran away from Mitzrayim. There was politics in the family. Mifnei Achiv, because of his brothers. Ubonasham Mizbeach, and he built him Mizbeach there. Upligi Hasam. And the Gemara in Menachas says Machlokes. Iklam Adiyama l'Shem Avodas Kechavim, that he built this Mizbeach l'Shem Avodas Zarah. V'iklam Adiyama l'Shem Shemayim. Ukomi boiluhu Rabbi Yosef ben Shol. Aliba the Mandi Ama Lav Bas Ovid Kechavim. He, according to Mandi Ama, says it wasn't a house of Avodah Zarah. It wasn't a Mizbeach of Avodah Zarah. The Aliba the Mandi Ama the Avodah Kechavim. He loy komi boile. There's no shaila. The Hashla lehedjid asurin ki the Ama leel. Kelen shenishtamshu behen la'avodas kechavim akasam adaber l'gvoyav miboy. So another the whole shaila we're going to present now is only called Mandi Ama that it wasn't a house of Avodah Zarah. So what's the shaila? Let's see it inside. Boy mi Rabbi Yosef Shol Mer Kelen sheshimshu ben bebeis Chonyav Mahu sheishtamshu in beis Hamikdash. Could use in the beis Hamikdash. Could use in the beis Hamikdash. Right? Could you use it in the beis Hamikdash? The komi boy le aliyud Mandi Ama beis Chonyav lav beis Avodas kechavim he did nan kohanim sheshimshu bebeis Chomav. Right? Kohanim that was what mishamish bebeis Chonyav lo yishamshu b'mikdash b'Yerushalayim. Even if you're going to tell me that it wasn't a house of Avodah Zarah, fellas, they can't be mishamish. They were mishamish shchutei chutz. Guys, when there is a question that the Beis Hamikdash was still standing, if he's being makar of karbonis in Mitzrayim, and it's not l'shem Avodah Zarah, he's chayiv koris for shchutei chutz, right? So they zen and ish kind tzadikim. So therefore, that's your shaila. And you don't have to say that if they did, let's say something else like chas v'shalom avodah zarah, you cannot go ahead and serve in the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, you can't serve in the Beis Hamikdash. So now kahanim hu de kansinan rabbanon, the chachamim they gave a kanas. You shouldn't have been a dayaninu because they're people who should have known better. Avol kalim loy, but the kalim which were not used for avodah zarah, because again, this is only Mandi Ama that wasn't house of avodah zarah. So the kalim that weren't over in issa, maybe you could use. Oidil maleshna, Or maybe what? Maybe l'chayra, if you constantly this, it's not such a good thing. Oh, you know what? Here's the base of Migdash, and let's say I'm making a joke. You have a kli that says on it, property of Beis Chonyav, right? But when you think of Beis Chonyav, it's whatever it is. In worst scenario, it's Avodah Zorah. Better scenario, it's not, but it's chutz. But what's the shaila? Since it's an inanimate object, it doesn't have das. Maybe you could. That's the shaila that Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Shol is Rebbe. So Amalei, Rebbe said, Asurin hein, they're asa. And listen to this, guys. Umikra biyadenu, we had a pasuk, ushachanuha, and we forgot the pasuk. So Rebbe says, I know it's asa, but I don't know why, because I can't tell you the pasuk why it's asa. Don't worry, guys. Hang on. Don't leave the movie yet. Right now, it's interesting. He said, it's an Esivei. Now, there's a whole story over here where Chizkiyahu's father Achaz was a Rasha Merusha, and it's describing they went ahead and they cleaned up the place. They cleaned up the place. That's kol hakelim asher hizniach hamelech achas b'malchusoi b'maloi heichanu v'tikshanu v'chinam lifnei mizbeach Hashem. So it says heichanu v'tikshanu. So we're going to darshan what happened over here, and we're going to try to figure out exactly. I'm going to ask a kasha, right? Rabbi Yosef Rishol is going to ask a kasha on Rebbe. You say it's asur. Rabbi Yosef tried to prove it's mutter. So again, what's the kasha? Could the kalim of Beis Chonyav, like the Mandi Omar, that Beis Chonyav was not an Avodah Zorah, be used in the Beis HaMikdash? We know the Kahanim couldn't serve in the Beis HaMikdash. Could the kalim be? Rebbe said it's asa, but I don't know why. Now comes along Rabbi Yosef B'Shol is going to say you could. And he's going to ask Rebbe, he's going to say that you could. Kol kalim asher is niach hamelach achas b'malchusoi, right? B'malo heichanu hikdashnu. All the kalim that he Achaz had used that were left over, what did we do? We went ahead and we heichanu. What does that mean? And hiktashnu. My love heichanu dapelinu. We went ahead what? And we put them in a mikvah. Hiktashnu shinu. And after we put them in the mikvah, we went ahead and put Shem Mishkan there. So what do you see? That you could use the. In other words, if us who Amash Avodah Zorah used it, you can go ahead and correct it. So l'chayra, based on the should be correctable. That's the kasha of Yosef B'Shol, yes, Rabbi. You would say it's asa, a raya from Achaz and Chizkiyahu that it's muta. So Amalei, Rabbi said to Rabbi Yosef B'Shol, Baruch atah l'shamayim. Baruch atah l'shamayim. You know why? Shechazartu li avedasi. You returned to me what I lost. Guys, this is the pasuk that he's going to learn it's asa. You hear this? Yeah. Guys, the same pasuk that Yosef and Shaul wanted to learn that it's asa, that's the pasuk that Rebbe forgot. He wants to say it's muta. That's the pasuk that Rebbe thought that's going to be what? It's going to be asa. Got it? It's fantastic. Okay. What does Heichanu mean? It doesn't mean they toivel it. It means sheginaznon. They went ahead and they hid them. Vikdashnu does not mean they were mekadosh from the Shem and Mishra, but shekdashnu achayim tachteyim. They went ahead and they replaced them. So what do you see? It's awesome. So Baruch Hashem that you Yosef and Shol Gemara, not your typical Gemara, not your typical dialogue. You went ahead and you brought it back. Okay. Leima Messiah lay. So now the Gemara wants to bring a proof to Rebbe that it's asa. That's asa. To go ahead to Kalim that of Chanya. It says Mizrachis Tzfainis. Now we're speaking about the Ezras Noshim. You'd walk into the Beis HaMikdash and there were four corners. And one of the corners in the northeast corner, it was called what? It was called the Lishkas. There was a place where they kept fire, and it opened to the base like that. Bog Banzu base Chashmoim es Avnei Mizbeach. There, after the Chashmoim came after the Greeks, they went ahead and Sheshiksu Anshe Yavan. They had gone ahead and they had brought pigs on the Mizbeach and did disgusting things. They went ahead, they took down the Mizbeach, and they hid it over there. The Avonim over there, they hid over there. They used the Mizbeach for Avodah Zarah Le'aleinu Chas V'Shalom. Okay, so what do you see? Right. So once it was used, right? Once something was used, even if it doesn't have a brain, for Avodah Zarah, even if it was, So therefore, that's it. So in other words, we want to bring a proof from the Mizbeach that they hid it, you couldn't use it, so you couldn't use the Kalim of Chanyav. That's the Raya. Just like the Kalim of Chanyav does not das, so the Mizbeach doesn't have das, and nonetheless, what it's also. So l'chayr that would be a Raya. So Papa says no, it's no Raya, and he's going to say there's a source for answering what? Answering the bricks, the stones of the Mizbeach. Hasam kro ashchif v'darish. They found the Chachamim found the pasuk to darshan that you shouldn't be able to use the stones. Dichsiv uba paritzim v'chilaluha, and the pritzim they came in and they were machalal. They were machalal. Let's see Rashi here. Dichsiv, right, the first white line. Mikivan shenichnasu oivdei kechavim lehechel yatsu kelav lechulin. Because it says mechalel, guys. Once they came in, it was mechalel. The kim in the nafke lechulin kaninu behefkera. They were koine it. Vahavi lehuliditu, and it belonged to them. Ukeshinishtamshu lebehen labayis kechavim nesru. You want to bring a raya, guys, from Mizbeach to Beis Chanyav. Beis Chanyav was not used for Avodah Zorah. The Kalim in the Beis Hamikdash, the Mizbeach was used for Avodah Zorah. How so? When they came in, they were Machalal. That means they lost its Kedusha. And then, since it lost its Kedusha, it was Hefker, it was homeless, they were koine it. Once they were koine it belonged to the Goyim. Once they brought Kabbanis on it, they asked as Avodah Zorah Mamish. If Avodah Zorah Mamish, you have to hide. It's not Kalim, it's not Mishamshin of Avodah Zorah, it's Kalim Mamish. Guys, you got it? That's it. Interesting you say. Okay, so says the Gemara. That's what he wants to say. Okay. Amri Hechi Navat. They had no choice. The Gemara is going through the questioning of the Chashmonaim. Nis birinu, to break up the Mizbeach, right? And as a result, make it what Rashi says, you took off the Shem of Avodah Zarah. I don't know how you do that. You need a guy to do that, right? Right? Good. So you need a guy for that. Nitniparinu avonim shleimus amarachmana. You won't be able to use it anyway. Even if it's bottle, you won't be able to use it. Why? Because avonim shleimus, and once you broke it, it's not usable. Guys, here's the Gemara's kash like this. Let's go ahead and be mevatel it. How are we going to mevatel it? We're going to break off a piece. Good. So what are you going to do now? Use it again? It's broken. You need avonim shleimus, and you don't have it. Ninasrinu, go ahead and ninasrinu, and go ahead and Nirinu means to break it completely. You need shlemus. Break off a little piece. It says like son of fillet and barzel. You can't use barzel to cut it down. Amrachmana, right? Therefore, you had no option. You had no option, but again to go ahead and hide it. Fred the Gemara Mai, I still have an option. Lit perinu, go ahead, break him down. Let them take them for themselves. Why do you have to go ahead? No, it's once you broke it, it's bottle. Once it's bottle, you could use the stones for yourself. So good. To use them as bayach, I see you don't have a choice. They're not whole anymore, and if you cut them with iron, you have no option. So why do you have to? The Gemara's kasha is why do you have to hide them? Why do you have to hide them? Once you mevatel them, you had a goy be mevatel. The goy can be mevatel the thing of a goy. Again, guys, let's fair ice. You're telling me the mizbeach belonged to a goy. Why? Because once they were machalel, they were kaina, and it's theirs, right? So why do we know? We're going to see in the next Mishnah, a goy can go ahead and mevatel the avodah zarah of a goy. So right now, these stones belong to the goy. An option to use in the mizbeach, a chabnish, that I don't have. But why can't I keep it for myself, since it was bottle? Says the Gemara, Litbrinu, why to hide it? Litbrinu, break it, Lishinu l'nafshayu, take it for yourself. Miloi Omar Rabbi Shia, Bikshu lignois kol kesef v'zov sheba oilam, mishum kaspa da'ava Yerushalayim. Now, when the Goyim went ahead and attacked the Beis Hamikdash, and they took all the gold and silver, so that's Hegdish. So l'chayre, how would you be able to use any gold and silver in the world? L'chayre, that's Hegdish, right? That's Hegdish. V'avinam ba Yerushalayim haviru b'dalma. Well, you go after Roiv, and Roiv is not Hegdish, so therefore you could use it. Elam Rabbi, here's what Rabbi Oshia meant to say. Bikshu lignois dinorim hadriyana. They wanted to go ahead and hide the the dinorim that had the face of Hadrian on it, and Turyana, and the face of Turyana, that's Trajan. Shaifa, that were going ahead and had been worn down. Now, as these coins were used, and we want to go ahead and hide them, these particular coins, because of the coins of Yerushalayim, which again was not right for the world. And these Achemasle Mikrum and Atayra Shumuta, they found a pasuk that matted it. Ubo ba pritzim v'chilaluhu. They came in, and so the coins of Hegdish, the coins that these coins that the goyim would use, they would now become batal. They become batal. They become mechalos. They lost the kedusha. So you don't have to worry about it. In other words, you wanted to ask these because of these. These are no longer kodesh. So you don't have to worry about it. Right? These are no longer kodesh. So these were coins. If you look at Rashi, Taryana Hadrana Shaifa Matbeya Sel Yerushalayim. These were Jewish coins. Tayrana Hadrana Al Shem Malchei Roim. They were named the Caesars. Nasu Atsurois Shmam Trionis Adranios. So Shaifon Yoshem B'Yosef, they're very old, and Shanishav Machmas Yoshna, Vein Atsuros Nikeres, and you can't recognize them anymore. So they wanted to go ahead, and they wanted to asa them. They wanted to asa all these coins because they had coins from Yerushalayim that were printed like this. Until they found what? A pasuk that said, they came in and they were machalo, any coins that were there, so you don't have to worry about it. So the question is, so if you see that they came in and mevatel the coins, why can't they mevatel the stones? And that my answer is, the coins, they were never used for Hashem. They were kodesh, but they were never used for Hashem. Hacha by the mizbeach, even the shtamish, since they were used for Kodesh Baruch Hu, so you want to know why? So Rebbe is right. It's asa, and it's reason asa is because by achaz, after what he did, they went ahead, they hid everything in the kalim, they didn't use them at all. So in answer to the question, Beis Chanyav, even if it's not Avodah Zorah, you won't be able to use it. You want to bring a raya from the mizbeach you want to bring a raya mizbeach. That since the Mizbeach was without Seichel, so to the coins without Seichel, it's a big difference. Over there, the Mizbeach was used for Gavoya, it was used for Kodesh Baruch Hu. Therefore, it was used for Kodesh Baruch Hu, that's why it was hidden. So you have no raya from there. But the reason why you couldn't keep it for yourself, the reason why you had to break it and put them away for Geniza, because since it's been used for Kodesh Baruch Hu, despite the fact you can mevatel it,